Hamilton. Anyone who has seen it knows there is nothing quite like this phenomenon, this Broadway phenomenon. And my guest today, Thayne Jasperson, knows better than anyone else. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, I say you know better than anyone else because you are the only original cast member still in the show. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. After 6 years, yeah.
Now, I'm still in the show because there's a little thing called a pandemic happening right now where there are actually no shows, but please, please, please tell me we are coming back for sure.
Yeah, we're coming back for sure. They, they had it originally said that we were coming back after like a few weeks, and then it became a couple months, and then it became September, and now it's going to be till the end of the year at least, but we will be back.
We'll be back probably towards the beginning of the year or in 2021, but we're coming back.
Yes, probably towards the end of the year or beginning of actually probably beginning of 2021. But we'll be back, just as King George always says, we'll be back.
We'll be back. Now, talk to me about joining the show like so many years ago, and everyone who joins a Broadway show, you hope it does well. But is there any way that you could have predicted the kind of success that Hamilton has had?
I know, not this kind of success. When I did the first lab in January 2014, we just sang the music and I knew this was incredible. I knew that this was going to hit the world running and that everybody was going to love it, but not to the point where the president is coming to our show multiple times and where, Beyonce is showing up to our show and all these other people. So, it's a huge phenomenon where it's great because all generations are loving it. Kids and old alike are learning history and wanting to learn it. Like, what's that about,
And when Beyonce shows up, do you know she's in the audience or you ahead of time?
You know what? Not always. Like some of them they tell us, some of them they don't. Sometimes people see them and they're like, Beyonce's in the audience, But so we'll hear about like Will Smith. He came to the show and we're like, Will Smith's at the show. But the first lady, when Michelle Obama came, nobody knew. We just saw Secret Service everywhere and we were like, what's happening in the world? And then they told us later Michelle Obama was at the show. So you find out when you find out.
I would imagine sometimes it's better to not know.
Yeah, sometimes, but then at the same time, it's kind of fun when you do know because it gives you this energy where you're just tingling and ready to go.
Now, what do you think it is kind of, and this might be a hard question, about Hamilton that has kind of so much, like the world has embraced it?
Yeah, I think for one, the history of the nation. So sure. Everybody connects to something that is our nation because people feel proud to be American and for what our nation stands for. So I think that in itself has made a lot of people interested. And then also the fact that it's told through a lot of rap and R&B and hip hop and music that all humans connect to, so, all humans connect to in different ways, whether they connect to the hip hop or the rap or the musical theater side or the lyrical moments. It all varies, but everybody connects to the music in that way. And it's intriguing and it's hip for the younger generations and the older as well get into it, even though it's hip. Even the older folks, they come along and they're like bouncing along in their seats.
Now, how has the release on Disney Plus kind of affected you? Like, did you feel the wave of, it's now available to a huge audience and even more so than the people who could make it to Broadway?
Yeah, it's been, I was fortunate. They let me take over the Instagram for Hamilton when I was the day of the release, which I was kind of feeling pressure. I was like, oh my gosh, that's huge, right? Like, I'm like, this has got to be good. I got to make this good. I can't just be like, here we are, question and answer. Hi, I'm Thayne Jasperson. I had to like make it good. So I had to make production value. I was like all over the place running around making all these videos and ideas. And, I had to use my creativity, but it was crazy because everybody was tweeting, sending me Instagram things, being like, Thayne, I saw you. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Or, actually the other day, it was really cute. I got this message. Somebody was like, I've fallen in love with you. Can we talk? And I was like, I don't know if you've really fallen in love with me or just like the idea of what you saw on stage, but it's great.
How many times have you watched it?
sad to say, not sad to say, but really I've only watched it once because I want to watch it again, but for me, it's hard. I've had like a million, I'm staying with my parents in Utah, right? So A, I'm with my parents. B, I've got my sister and her kids around. So I've got 100 nieces and nephews running around at all times. So I would love to watch it and focus, because when I watched it, everybody was going and it was so fun. And anytime I entered the screen, they were like, Thayne, you know, but really, I would love to be able to just sit and focus and watch like all the different aspects and the beautiful elements, because they directed it so beautifully and shot it so beautifully. So I need to find the time when I'm like, it's me, I can be alone, or I can just be really focused. And that's hard to find during this pandemic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Listen, I've watched it twice, but now I have it on. Sometimes I just have it on in the background in the house while I'm around doing stuff. Now,
I love that.
when you guys filmed it, was that any different than the regular shows that you did on, 7 days a week?
So we did it on our days off. We did it, our day off and our time off. Like, I think, it's hard to exactly remember, but I know that we did it during times where people were not at the show. So it was during the day before people were at the show, and Monday all day, which is our day off. But they did bring in an audience, because that reception from them is so important, especially with musicals and theater. And when you've seen these televised versions, and when there's no audience, it's such a weird silence that doesn't feel right. So I think for theater, we wanted to have that audience. But yeah, so we were doing like double time work.
And now in the show, you're Samuel Seabury. You have a little one-on-one with Hamilton himself. What kind of reaction does that get from people when they see that?
It's funny. I once had a dinner with these people that had donated to a charity, and there was a boy who was maybe 8 years old, and he came and he was like, "So what part do you play?" And I was like, "I'm Samuel Seward." And he's like, "Oh, I hate him." I was like, "What?" So, I felt like I really did my job. I really had played this guy that is not meant to be liked. And he's meant to be, saying like, "Stick with the king, don't leave. What are you doing? We got to stay with Britain." And, so it was kind of great that I never get to play the villain, because people are always like, "Oh, Thayne, he's so smiley," but not the villain, but he's, he's like the unliked.
I mean, but look at that face. That's not a villainous face. Right now.
I know, dang it. That's my goal. One of these days, I'm going to play like Ursula,
You also get to do the king every now and then as well, right?
I do. I get to play the king actually a lot, which is really fun. And that is my favorite role, because you walk out on stage, you put on those heels, those high heels. For me, it's all about the heels. I put on the heels and I'm like, I am here. and then I get to walk out on stage, all lights are on you. You have this huge heavy cape, you're trying to like move it out with your arms so that you don't trip on it. So that is one thing that's a little scary. And then the crown is super tight. Like, heavy is the crown. How do they say it? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Heavy is the crown.
You're quoting above my pay grade.
Heavy is the weight of the crown on the head. Who knows? Something like that. But it's true, because that crown is like tight and heavy. And I have to like keep my head, don't bobble too much, keep my head and cape and heels. But then you got to come out there and the audience reacts with you. It's comedic. It's the best role ever. And they always love you. They always love the king. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, they love.
Who doesn't want to be?
As we're watching Disney Plus, the numbers just go up and up and up as everyone is tuning in. How are you kind of surviving and thriving during this pandemic? Before we go, I just want to check in on personally, how's it going?
Yeah, well, I mean, thriving, I don't know, thriving, but but definitely surviving. No, it's actually, I will say it's kind of nice to have a rest, because as a performer, you're always, what's my next audition? Get ready for these lines, memorize this. What's this concert? Get ready for this. Make sure you're, understudy, rehearsals, all of that, which is amazing. I love it, but it is kind of nice to be like, I can kind of chill a little bit, So I'm loving that, but also I'm kind of loving family time. I never get to connect with family, and to be in Utah and nature is the most beautiful place. So that but I've been really working on, like, I've been loving to play piano because I love piano, and I've really kind of put that aside. And so now I'm trying to like practice that, and I'll sing at night on the porch. My mom always tells my neighbor, she's like, if you come outside at night, you'll hear Thayne giving you a full concert. So, so I'm out there singing away.
We have to get that on your Instagram. Has that been on your Instagram yet?
You know what? It hasn't. I need to. You're right. I need to do a private concert with Thayne Jasperson Instagram live, or should I do it live?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Live will also be recorded. So yes, absolutely.
Yes, I'm going to do it.
Thank you so much for talking with us today. I want to cut it short, but I have to go watch Hamilton for the third time.
Yes, sir. Well, you should.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Hamilton Disney Plus, and we really appreciate your time. Thanks, Thayne.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.